Get rid of them. Wayne Rooney delivers brutal Manchester United squad verdict to Erik ten Hag. Man United are anticipated to have a busy summer transfer window as Sir Jim Ratcliffe assumes control of recruitment ahead of next season. Manchester United icon Wayne Rooney has urged Erik ten Hag to either sell or release the vast majority of his squad ahead of next season. United have struggled this campaign with performances below par throughout. Early exits in the Champions League and Carabao Cup have been compounded by a poor Premier League season, which is likely to end with the Reds finishing 7th or 8th. Men Sport understands United are open to offers to all but 4 players this summer as they look to cut down their high wage bill. Rasmus Hojlund, Andre Onana, Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo are all believed to be off the table for other clubs. In the Sky Sports studio following the dramatic 3-2 win over Newcastle on Wednesday night, Rooney was asked to give his verdict on the United squad and he did not hold back about the moves ten Hag and company should be making this summer. "You have to build the team around Bruno Fernandes," he said. "He's the one player with quality, he has got fight in him. I think the young players and then, all the other players get rid of them. I think you keep the young players, you keep Bruno and I think it has to be a massive clear out. It has to be. It is not going to be in 1 year. I think it has got to be over the next couple of years. Onana, I think he has got better. He had a shaky start to the season, but I think he has got better. Defenders, for me I think, Diogo Dalot has done well. Harry Maguire has had an in and out season. To compete they need better players to compete in this league. Don't get me wrong, these players are good players, and good Premier League players, but to compete with Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal, they need better players. Marcus Rashford, we all know Marcus has the ability and capability to play at the top level. And we haven't seen that. I just wonder, is it time for Marcus himself to go elsewhere? I don't know. I think he has to ask himself that question. I want him to stay and break records at this club, but he needs to get his head right and get his head down and work hard and get back to the player you know he can be. Manchester United. Wayne Rooney names player Manchester United must build around this summer. Wayne Rooney was asked to share his thoughts on the current Manchester United squad and his response was ruthless. Wayne Rooney believes Manchester United should build their squad around Bruno Fernandes. The former striker says his former club should keep the young players at Old Trafford, but get rid of everyone else. Rooney thinks the club must sign better players if they are to compete with Man City at the top of the Premier League. Wayne Rooney has never been one to hold back when discussing his former club Manchester United, and that was the case again this week as he delivered a ruthless assessment of the playing squad at the club right now. The Red Devils have struggled this season, picking up just 57 points in 37 games, 1 point behind their worst ever points return in the Premier League era. There's been speculation about the futures of Erik ten Hag and star man Bruno Fernandes, and the optimism that surrounded the club at the start of the campaign has completely evaporated. Since Sir Alex Ferguson departed in 2013, the Red Devils have spent over £1 billion on players, but they've not enjoyed any form of success in the league. Their recruitment has been disastrous, with big money wasted on high-profile stars including Angel Di Maria, Alexis Sanchez and Memphis Depay over the years. The current squad is no better either, with some big-name players currently underperforming after the Red Devils spent a fortune to bring them to Old Trafford. Rooney has now given a damning assessment of the state of the team and the players he thinks are actually worth keeping. Rooney would keep Bruno Fernandes and the young players. He'd get rid of everyone else. While he's currently out of management, Rooney has been working as a television pundit for Sky Sports, covering the Premier League's biggest matches. He was in the studio for United's meeting with Newcastle United this week and was asked to share his thoughts about the current squad at the club. The Sky Sports team shared a graphic of the entire squad at Old Trafford and asked both the former striker and Roy Keane what they thought the club needed to do this summer. It's safe to say that Rooney didn't hold back one bit, commenting, "You have to build around Bruno. I think you have to build a team around Bruno. He's the one player with quality. He has got fight in him. I think the young players and then I think all of the other players, get rid of them. I think you keep the young players, you keep Bruno and I think there has to be a massive clear out. It's not going to all be in 1 year, but I think it's going to be over the next couple of years." The former United man then went on to share brief individual thoughts on several of the club's biggest stars. Again, United's all-time record goalscorer didn't hold back. Rooney's view on United's biggest stars. He's less than impressed with many. After ruthlessly saying that United should get rid of the majority of their players, Rooney then went on to break down each position in the team and share his opinion on some of the club's biggest stars. First, starting with the goalkeeper situation, before moving on to the side's defense, he didn't refrain from giving his brutally honest thoughts. "I think his Andre owner got better. I think he had a shaky start to the season, but he has got better. For me, Diogo Dalot's done well. Harry Maguire's had an in-and-out season, but to compete, they need better. They need better players to compete in this league. Don't get me wrong, these players are good players and good Premier League players, but to compete with Man City, with Liverpool, with Arsenal, they need better players." Rooney was then asked to share his opinion on Marcus Rashford. The Englishman was one of United's best players last season, but has been a shell of himself this time around. "We all know that Marcus has got the ability and the capabilities to play at the top level, and we haven't seen that. I just wonder if it's time for Marcus himself to go and play elsewhere. I think he has to ask himself that question. I want him to stay and break records at this club, but he needs to get his head right and get his head down. Regardless of what happens between now and the end of the campaign, whether United win the FA Cup trophy against Manchester City later this month or not, it's pretty clear that there is some big work to do in the transfer market this summer, but given their recent track record, only time will tell whether the Red Devils get their recruitment nailed on." Man United 3-2 Newcastle, player ratings and match highlights. Manchester United's European dream is still on after their 3-2 win over the Magpies. Manchester United kept their European hopes alive in a 3-2 win over Newcastle, with goals from Kobbie, Mainoo, Amad Diallo and Rasmus Hojlund. First half saw Magpies in control, but Diallo and Mainoo helped United fight back with two huge goals. Anthony Gordon stood out for Newcastle with a goal and that could have been turned into assists barring missed chances. Manchester United kept their European hopes alive in their 3-2 win over division rivals Newcastle United at Old Trafford, with the goals coming from youngsters Kobbie, Mainoo, Rasmus Hojlund and Amad Diallo. The Magpies began the first half the better side, with Alexander Isak firing wide and Anthony Gordon only being stopped via a last-ditch Sofian Amrabat tackle. It looked for all the world that United would lose another game in the Premier League this season. United did roar back, though. Casemiro narrowly missed the target with an overhead kick, and Amad Diallo stung the gloves of Martin Dubravka as he looked to capitalise on a rare start, before more chances went their way. It was youngster Kobbie Mainoo who got the ball rolling though. Some poor defending from Kieran Trippier saw the prodigy with all the time in the world to pick his spot, and he coolly passing the ball beyond a stranded Dubravka. That was almost cancelled out just minutes later when Gordon appeared to be wiped out by Amrabat, as replays showed his heel being clipped by the Moroccan, but referees saw nothing doing, before Dan Burns' header was cleared off the line by Casemiro. The second half began at lightning pace. Gordon drew Newcastle level from close range and he almost got an assist for Isak before Amrabat made a vital last-ditch tackle, and the Magpies came to regret that when Amad Diallo thundered home from the edge of the box to restore United's lead. Newcastle almost equalised through Longstaff and Gordon again, but when Rasmus Hojlund struck with his first touch, it gave United breathing space, and a Lewis Hall consolation wasn't enough for the Magpies.